writing this as a warning. I don't know how else to put it. If you ever get curious about the dark web or think it's some cool place to mess around, I need you to take a step back and think twice. My life's a mess now because I didn't, and I'd give anything to go back to before it all started. I guess I should give you some background so you know where I was at. I've always been pretty socially awkward, like to the point that high school was a nightmare. I never really had any friends, especially not girls. Anytime I tried to talk to one, it would either end with me mumbling like an idiot or her laughing. I'm not saying I was bullied all the time, but there were enough moments where people didn't want me around. Eventually, I just stopped trying to fit in. When I graduated, I thought things would get better, but they really didn't. College wasn't in the cards for me, and I just ended up back at my parents' place, working a part-time job and feeling like a loser. At night, I'd get online just to kill time. I didn't have anything better to do, so the internet became my escape. That's when I started hearing about the dark web. I'd seen people talk about it online, read some creepy stories here and there, and I thought, hey, maybe it would be something to explore. People kept saying it was messed up, but the part of me was curious. I mean, I didn't have anything else going for me, and I figured it would at least be interesting, right? So I started looking into it. I got the Tor browser, set up a VPN, read all the guides so I wouldn't mess anything up. The first few times I got on there, it was just boring stuff. Forums, weird chat rooms, random links to things that seemed fake. I was actually kind of disappointed because I expected this crazy underworld, but mostly it just seemed like a bunch of people talking about things that didn't interest me. But then I stumbled across this chat room. The people there seemed kind of normal compared to other places I'd seen on the dark web, and they were just chatting around about random stuff, so I figured I'd stick around for a bit. I mostly just lurked at first, but after a couple of nights, this girl sent me a message. Her profile said her name was Lily and she had this cute profile picture. Nothing crazy, just a selfie. She looked around my age, maybe a bit younger, but she was the first person who talked to me directly in a long time. I should have known something was up right then. I mean, I'm not exactly a guy who girls usually pay attention to, but it felt nice, so I went with it. We started talking a lot. She told me she'd had a rough time too, wasn't close with her family, didn't have friends either. It felt like we had stuff in common and I'd like that. It was just casual at first, like we'd chat at night, joke around, nothing serious. But after a couple of weeks, things started changing. She'd send me pictures and they'd be, I don't know how to describe it, kind of flirty I guess. Nothing too crazy, just her with these cute expressions or her trying on different outfits. After a while, she asked me to send her pictures too. I felt weird about it, but I thought why not? It wasn't like I was sending anything inappropriate, just some selfies and stuff. I was kind of embarrassed, but she seemed happy to get them, so I kept going with it. For a few days it felt kind of nice, like someone actually cared about me. Then one night she just casually mentioned that she was younger than I thought. She said she was 16. My stomach kind of dropped because I didn't realize she was that young. But by then, we'd already been talking a lot. I tried to brush it off. I thought maybe I could just play it cool, keep things friendly, and not take it too seriously. But she kept pushing things, like wanting to talk late at night, sending more pictures and asking me to send more too. She was really insistent. Part of me thought that was weird, but I was so caught up in having someone pay attention to me that I ignored the warning signs. One night, after I sent her a picture, she didn't respond for a bit. I figured maybe she was busy, but a few hours later I got a message. It wasn't from her, it was from someone else. They said they were a friend of Lily's and they'd seen everything I'd sent. They said they knew I had inappropriate pictures of her, and that they could ruin my life if they wanted to. I freaked out. I mean, I knew I hadn't done anything that bad, but just the thought of anyone thinking I had, it made me feel sick. That's when the blackmail started. This person said that they'd already saved all the pictures and messages we'd exchanged and that they could easily report me to the police. They had everything. I tried to argue, but they sent screenshots proving that they'd been watching the whole time. Then they told me if I didn't send them money, they'd leak everything. I felt trapped. They said it wouldn't take much, just a couple $100 at first, so I paid them. I thought maybe it would be over after that, but it just wasn't. Every few days they'd come back asking for more. They'd send screenshots of my conversations, even pictures I'd sent. Each time they demanded more money, and they said if I went to the police, they'd go public with everything. I didn't know what to do. I was barely making enough to get by, and now I was sending whatever I had to these people just to keep them quiet. I tried to stop responding, but then one day I got a call from a blocked number. It was them. They told me they knew where I lived, where I worked, everything. They even knew my family's info. I didn't know how they got it, but it scared me so much that I didn't even question it. I just kept paying. Finally, it got to the point where I couldn't keep up with their demands. I told them I had nothing left, and they just laughed. They said if I couldn't pay, then they'd make sure I'd never have a normal life again. I thought they were bluffing, but the next day I woke up to find that all my social media accounts had been hacked. They posted screenshots of my conversations with Lily, and the pictures I'd sent her, with captions making it sound way worse than it actually was. Within hours, people I hadn't talked to in years were messaging me asking what was going on. My family saw it, my coworkers, everyone. I was humiliated. And then, to make things even worse, they actually called the police on me. They reported me saying I'd been involved in distributing illegal material. I still don't know how, but somehow they even managed to put files on my computer. Stuff I'd never even seen before. They set me up completely. When the police showed up, I didn't even know what to say. I tried to explain, but who was going to believe me? All they saw was that these people had sent them the proof they'd put together. My life fell apart overnight. I lost my job, most of my family doesn't talk to me anymore, and I'm still fighting legal battles just to clear my name. I can't even describe the regret I feel every single day. All because I was lonely, because I trusted someone on the internet who didn't even exist. The person I thought was Lily was probably just another part of their setup, a way to bait me and ruin me. I don't know if I'll ever get my life back, but I wanted to share this to warn everyone else who's curious about the dark web. It's not worth it. It's dangerous and the people there don't care about ruining lives. Please don't make the same mistakes I did. Don't trust anyone you meet on there, and don't let loneliness drive you to places that can destroy you. I was 22 when I fell into a rabbit hole that would ruin my life. Looking back, maybe it was inevitable. At the time, I didn't see it coming. I just left college and had no direction. I had a handful of online friends but spent most nights alone, spiraling down message boards and subreddits just to pass the time. It wasn't like I was trying to find trouble, but boredom makes you reckless. A lot of people don't know that the internet has this underbelly, a space you can slip into where people aren't who they seem. I'd heard about the dark web, but until one night I hadn't tried to go out there. I'd read stories about it, and it was kind of like seeing a locked door you want to open up just because you know you shouldn't. So one night, out of nowhere, I downloaded the browser and went in. It didn't start weird. There were just forums and chat rooms with people talking about random things, stuff you'd see on any other message board, just with a stranger vibe. I didn't find anything particularly fascinating, but I stayed, clicking from one link to another, more out of curiosity than anything else. Eventually I found a thread called For Those Who Don't Belong. It was supposed to be a small support group, but it wasn't that regular therapy vibe. Instead, it was a place for people who felt out of place, people who didn't fit into social norms. At first, I read some posts and thought it was relatable. It was like they were speaking directly to people like me, lost and bored. I made a profile with a random username and started commenting. Mostly I read and lurked. I don't even know when it changed, but one night I got a private message from someone named Eli. They seemed normal enough. They told me they'd seen my comments and that we sounded alike. That's how it began. Eli was my age, or so he said, and we got along instantly. He felt like the friend I'd never had. Over a few days we started talking about everything. Mostly I'd complain about work or the fact that my parents were never around. It was like he got me. But Eli, though he seemed genuine, had this subtle way of leading our conversations into dark places. One night, he started talking about social experiments he'd done online, pranks he'd pulled, people he'd tricked. He'd even told me about this elaborate story he'd spread about a local business and how he made people believe it was involved in some underground stuff. People actually bought into it. At first, I thought it was funny, in that harmless way that pranks are. Eli said that people deserved it. He called it a wake-up call for idiots, and I'd laugh along thinking it was all just words. But he'd plant ideas in my mind, things like, wouldn't it be cool to try this yourself, make a difference in the world, wake people up. And after a while, I started to believe him. A few weeks later, Eli proposed something. He said he'd found this chat room that would be perfect for our experiments. He sent me a link, which I was hesitant to click, but curiosity got the better of me. It wasn't anything crazy, just a private forum with a handful of users. They were all anonymous people with usernames like Mirrorface or Echo Watcher. They talked about pranks and social experiments they'd done or wanted to try. They were like Eli, just people who thought they were better than everyone else. And as odd as it sounds, I felt like I belonged. We started planning our projects. It was simple, spread rumors about a small business and see how fast it would reach social media. I figured it was harmless since no one would actually believe it, but the rumors spread like wildfire. People believed it and it snowballed, causing chaos for the business. A part of me felt wrong, but Eli kept reassuring me. He'd say things like, people need to learn not to believe everything. I was too far in to back out now, but I told myself that I'd stop once the project was done. But then, things changed. One night, I logged into the chat room and there was a new user, Ghostmind he called himself. He didn't say much at first, just observed. After a few days, he started messaging me directly, saying things that only someone who'd been following my chats with Eli would know. I asked Eli if he knew about Ghostmind, but he just laughed it off, saying it was probably another troll. Then, this Ghostmind person sent me a message that still haunts me. It was a file, a TXT document titled Know Thy Enemy. When I opened it, it was a list of every conversation I'd had in the chat room, plus a few things I'd said to Eli privately. The document twisted my words to make me look like the mastermind behind everything. At first I thought it was a joke, but then they sent screenshots edited to look like I'd been posting disturbing content. I don't know how they did it, but they made it look all too real. I felt like I was being framed, and I was horrified. I messaged Eli telling him that someone was setting me up, but he didn't respond. It was like he'd vanished. And then the emails started, from different addresses, all sending the same kinds of threats. They told me they had more screenshots and that they'd expose me unless I did something for them. They said they wanted me to join a different project, a bigger one. This one was about framing a local official, and it made me feel sick to my stomach, but they promised that if I didn't comply, they'd release everything. I tried deleting my accounts, changing my passwords, even unplugging my computer, but the emails kept coming. Somehow they had my phone number. I'd get texts in the middle of the night saying things like, "We're watching," or "Remember, we control the narrative." I started to spiral, becoming paranoid. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I'd look out my window, and I think I saw shadows moving, as if someone was watching me. My family noticed I was acting weird, but I couldn't tell them what was happening. I couldn't go to the police either. What would I even say? That I'd be stupid enough to get involved in some online prank gone wrong? One night, they went even further. I got a package at my door with no return address. Inside was a USB drive. I plugged it into my laptop against my better judgment. There were files on it, videos, all fake, but edited so well they looked real. Videos showing my face, saying things I'd never said, admitting to things I'd never done. They had fabricated everything. That's when they made their final demand. They told me to go to the police and confess to the crime they'd fabricated. They said if I didn't, they'd send the videos to everyone I knew. I felt trapped. I didn't know if they'd actually follow through, but I couldn't risk it. I packed a bag, planning to leave town, thinking I could escape and start over. But before I left, I decided to check the USB one more time, hoping there was some clue, something that would clear my name. But this time, when I plugged it in my computer froze and a new message appeared on the screen. It was from Ghostmind, and it simply read, "You can't run from the truth." Since then, my life has been hell. They went through with their threat. Somehow they got my family's contact information, my employer, everyone I knew, and sent those fabricated videos. I lost my job, my friends, everything. They think I'm some kind of monster. Now I'm stuck in this town alone, just trying to survive day by day. I keep a low profile, avoid social media, and I haven't been able to trust anyone since. But sometimes in the middle of the night, I'll hear my phone buzz with a text from an unknown number, and it will just say, "Remember us."